From her CV to her tax promises, would the Chancellor know the truth if it stood right in front of her?
Need to bother answering that, but no, move on. Val Rivers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The previous government left a £22 billion black hole in the public finances, and in the budget last year, I had to take urgent action to ensure our public finances were on a firm footing and to properly fund our public services, including a £29 billion investment every year in our National Health Service. You can't support more investment in our public services unless you support the tax changes to pay for them.
Mr. Speaker, asylum accommodation costs are set to quadruple in Northern Ireland from 100 to 400 million and across the UK to 15.3 billion in the next decade. Before hiking taxes again, shouldn't the Chancellor look at where the waste really lies when we are funding an asylum system that is failed, chaotic and expensive? This is not racist or far right. It's looking after our own citizens who can't pay their bills.
Mr. Speaker, I absolutely agree with the Honourable Lady that we should be reducing the cost of asylum accommodation, and indeed that's why our commitment to close all asylum hotels in this Parliament is so important.
Rupert Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through freedom of information requests, Restore Britain has uncovered unpublished Treasury analysis breaking down contribution by ethnicity. Evidently, the data exists, so will the Chancellor today commit to go further and publish the same analysis by nationality, so that we can see which groups are paying their way and, more importantly, which groups are not?
Mr. Speaker, I'm considering how to respond to that question, but I will simply leave it at saying that everyone must pay their fair share of tax. That's something this party is committed to in government.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not convinced that that answer went anywhere near my question. So, in terms of my supplementary, family businesses are the lifeblood of communities and constituencies such as mine. Last week, I met with Family Business UK to discuss how the government's national insurance hike, alongside restrictions to business property relief, are forcing businesses to pause investment, think twice about taking on more staff, and in some cases even forcing them to close their doors. So ahead of the budget, Mr. Speaker, will the Chancellor meet with me and representatives from family businesses to see ways in which the government will work with, not against, these really key businesses?
I thank the Right Honourable Lady for that question. 43% of employers, almost 1 million, will pay no employer national insurance this year. That is an increase because of the changes we made to the employment allowance. Over half of employers with mixed liabilities will see no change or gain overall, and businesses can employ younger people, those aged under 21, and apprentices under 25 without mix. But the party opposite have to decide whether they will stick with this change to national insurance or not, because if you are not going to stick with this, then you'll have to admit that you won't be able to put the money into the National Health Service.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. According to the British Retail Consortium, the Chancellor's last budget caused a £7 billion cost to retail, leading to shop closures, declining high streets and job losses. If the Chancellor won't acknowledge the damage she has caused, how will she go about rectifying it? And can I start by recommending a 100% business rate relief put forward by the Shadow Chancellor?
Thank the honourable gentleman for that question. In his own constituency, in the Isle of Wight, the 6-month change in waiting lists showed that 5% fewer people are waiting for 18 weeks or longer, and that's only possible because the money we put into the NHS, because of the tax changes we made. And regard to retail sales and the impact on shops, retail sales have increased for the last 4 months in a row, with the most recent numbers for September and August outpacing expectations.
Mr. Speaker, it was always blindingly obvious that increasing employers' national insurance would lead to an increase in business costs, which would lead to higher prices, hitting working people directly, and rises in inflation. And sure enough, inflation has risen steadily under this government and is now almost twice its recommended level. But at the time of the last budget, We were told it was necessary to raise taxes on businesses by £25 billion to pay for the NHS. And large amounts of money has indeed been paid to unionised workers. But just yesterday, the ONS announced that NHS productivity had fallen by 1.5% since Labour took office. So can the Chancellor explain what exactly my Orpington businesses are paying more tax for?
Well, in the Honourable Gentleman's constituency, people waiting more than 18 weeks for an appointment has also fallen, and that is exactly what that money is being used for. But the Honourable Gentleman needs to be clear, and so does the front bench opposite. If they are going to reverse the increase in national insurance, they have to also accept that there's less money for our National Health Service. That's a choice, but it would be interesting to hear whether that is the choice of that party opposite.
Greg Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With reports that the Chancellor is eyeing up doubling council tax for bands G and H, can she tell me whether she believes the family who wrote to me yesterday, who both have mid-range salaries, fully eligible for child benefit, who bought a home for just shy of £500,000 in 2013, does she really consider them rich enough to see their council tax doubled to £800 a month?
Under the last government, time and time again, council tax went up and up and up, and the funding for local councils went down and down and down. We've left councils on their knees, struggling when it comes to special educational needs, temporary accommodation, funding for homelessness, funding for adult social care. This government will make the right decisions when it comes to funding our councils and having a fair property taxation system.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is the Chancellor's definition of working people?
A working person is somebody who goes out every day to earn their income. They rely on prices that are affordable in the shops, low interest rates, taxes as low as possible, but also public services that work for them, like the NHS, where waiting lists have come down by more than 200,000 already.
Richard Fuller.
Well, that's a very broad definition, and maybe the Chancellor should speak to the Prime Minister, the Transport Secretary, the Education Secretary and the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, who all gave different definitions of working people over the last 12 months. After last year's budget, Mr. Speaker, the Chancellor said she had wiped the slate clean. But that wasn't true, Chancellor, was it? She said, I'm not coming back with more taxes. But that wasn't true, Chancellor, was it? At the election, the Chancellor said she would not raise taxes on working people. But that wasn't true either, was it, Chancellor? When will the Chancellor learn the truth, that she is not a commentator on the country's economic problems, she is the cause?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. When we came to office last year, there was a £22 billion black hole in the public finances. The reserve that is set out for genuine emergencies was already spent 4 times over, only 3 months into the financial year. That is the reality. We increased taxes in the budget last year to stabilise the public finances and to put a much-needed injection of cash into our public services, principally our National Health Service. Since then, anyone can see the big challenges facing the world, but also the productivity that never materialised under the past government.
Look, I've got a lot of members to get it. I'm trying to help everybody. Don't be tempted. That's the easy answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Chancellor just defined at the dispatch box what a working person is. Will she reiterate at the dispatch box now what she said to the British public during the general election campaign, which is that her forthcoming budget will not raise taxes on working people?
We'll set out all our budget measures at the budget.
Tom Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How will the government help to fund the green infrastructure